Hello, hello, hello. Thursday. Welcome to Black UX Labs. Thank y'all for taking time on your lunch hour to come hang out. Hello. How are you? Hello. Oh, look at I'm so happy to see you guys. Okay, hold on. Let me see if we got some more people coming. Hit this your hand, girl. Oh, yes, you look fabulous. So good to see you. You too. You look fantastic. Let's see here. We got some more people coming in. All right. So as folk come in, dance in, I just want to say hello, everybody. Welcome to Black UX Labs monthly meetup. I'm so happy to have you all here today. I'm happy to see my man Jarvis. Jarvis is one of our founding fathers at Black UX Labs. So we started this thing together. And I'm happy to see you all back in the room because, man, this space is so needed. I can't wait to catch up and hear what's going on with everybody. But I also want to hear what you guys are doing these days and how you are making it through the infamous AI transformation. How are you staying afloat? How are you surviving, thriving? So, we've got a pretty decent sized group here. So if you all are open, please introduce yourself. Tell us what you do and how are you surviving AI transformation? I'm Amber, CEO of Black UX Labs. I also work with entrepreneurs, solopreneurs on helping them get investment ready. Everybody has a great idea. I'm just helping you here to systemize your processes so that you can become investment ready quicker. So that's what I do today. How I'm surviving is using as many tools as possible, creating things, burning them down, creating more, breaking them, and then going and telling other people about it. So that's how I'm managing this world today. So I'm gonna popcorn it over to Jarvis. And Jarvis, if you don't mind, you take it from here, brother.
Yeah, I can go next. I'm Jarvis. Lots has changed for me recently, so I'm a lead product designer at Replit.com. Recently relocated to Austin, so I'm in Austin, Texas. I specialize in design systems, so I'm leading a lot of the design systems effort here at Realtor. A little bit of what you're doing, Amber, with just trying to use as much as possible and see what works and see what doesn't, but also trying to provide some principles and guidelines and standardization to it as well, so we can keep accessibility top of mind, typical design top of mind, making sure that things are still consistent when we're using all of these different tools, because if we don't put those boundaries in place, that's the future where we all end up out of a job. If we don't make sure that all of the things that we're creating have touch points, are traceable, are able to be rolled back if something goes wrong, that's when things start to take over and we're not needed anymore. So it's time to set some of those standards. We'll popcorn it over to Rod, just because you popped up.
Hey, I'm Rod. I'm lead product designer at Yext. We have a ton of products, but I work on text messaging and direct messaging platform. Been there about 6 years. As far as AI, just embracing it, just ideation at the beat. It just accelerates idea generation, fleshing out what the landscape of a problem is without having to reach out to users. So it sets the stage and you have a better idea of how you want to approach interviews and different discovery methods. And then also use it for always trying to stay prepared for the job search or whatever may happen. I like to take the daily summaries and logs. So I use AI to kind of pull out the most important thing. I have a GPT that I use to make a very concise thing. And I track that every day so that whenever I want to create a case study, I can just shove that into AI and it can give me a really great outline of what I've done over the past year or two of the project. So I'm just embracing it, figuring out what I can do with it. And I like systems. Next up, let's say Candice.
For some reason, I knew you were going to say my name. I'm Candice. I am a product manager at Stitch Fix based in Dallas, Texas. I've been there for over 8 years and I'm over the styling platform. So the system that our internal users use. And so we're in a space of trying to throw AI at everything. But our whole company is around personalization and humanization. So we're trying to find out what that partnership is, what it looks like. On the personal side, I'm trying to use AI, kind of like what you said, Rod, to set up some systems, trying different things. What can I automate? What does it do well? Where do I need to insert myself? And so that's kind of how I'm approaching AI. So it's kind of, we're on both ends of the spectrum. From a professional perspective, I think we don't have a clear strategy. We're just trying all kinds of different things. And then on the personal side, I'm just trying to figure out what will work best for me and the systems I need to implement. I will popcorn it to Valencia.
Hello, my name is Valencia Bay. I'm new here. I saw this on LinkedIn and I thought this would be interesting to unite with other Black UXers. I've been working in the field for about 22 years. I was an early UX researcher before it was called UX. We were webmasters and we did everything and survived the .com boom and bust. As the field became more segmented, I focused on content strategy, UX research, and then moved into digital experience and then started specializing in healthcare. I've been a director of UX research for an agency, been head of user research for a startup. And right now I've reached the point in my career where I'm unemployed. How I'm surviving is things are really good for years. So I saved and invested. So we know how the field is. It ebbs and flows. And I'm not sure if I want to do anything full time. I've had a business that did well for many years. So I'm kind of at a crossroads. What do I do? Do I go back to full time? Do I consult? I don't have enough money to go live until I'm 92, but it's like I'm really at a crossroads. So I'm not sure if I should. During many points in my career, I've pivoted: webmaster, UX research designer, content strategist, even did business analysis work for a minute, then did product design and development. I don't know what I want to do. And my father recently passed away, so I'm staying with my mother. And so my whole life is like, okay, so this is a good time for me to learn new things. And AI is actually one of them. My last job was for a healthcare startup, and we used AI to kind of interact with some of our members. And we had to build up systems and figure out things and hire people and learn a lot. So professionally, that's how I really got into AI. And then personally, I'm a musician and that's my creative outlet. And I have a little puppet show and I use AI for some of the backgrounds and making of the films and things. So yep, that's me. And it's nice to be here and nice to meet everyone. And I will popcorn it to Patrice.
Hi, can you hear me? Thank you. This is also my first time here. I started Master of Science in Information, coming from no STEM related degrees at all and not knowing what UX was. For AI, I have been following what DScout does, which is how I came across Amber. And at this point, I'm looking at AI like any other tool. It can be a whole lot more dangerous than, say, a calculator, although I think some would say that harm has been done with calculators too, in a way. So learning as much as I can.
Hey everyone, I came in a little late, so
We're saying who we are and what we're doing with AI these days.
okay. So I'm a senior product designer. I switched into UX back in like 2018 through a boot camp. Also not from like a STEM related background originally or design. I currently work at The Atlantic, which is a magazine, and I work on their research and development platform. And right now we are experimenting with AI and storytelling. Most of our experiments incorporate AI, whether it's helping readers navigate The Atlantic's content better and like creating thematic content, and then also using it in internal tools to help us engage readers better. It's been interesting to see how it's applied in a news media setting, especially my company. It's a really old institution trying to balance innovation with this sort of like traditional news landscape. It's been a little bit of a challenge. And I'm also based in Brooklyn.
Hi, I'm Lisa Dance. I'm a UX researcher. I work for myself in company Service Ease. I'm based out of Richmond, Virginia. I do UX audit, usability testing, and I do some training. I wrote a book last year, have some training based on that. And around AI, about 2 years ago, when it was really, first came out, and it was really, when that AI first came out, the AI, large language models, and that chunk of it, I dug in real deep to understand it and what the ethical implications were, and did a lot of research on that and did a lot of talking on it and articles and stuff. And then I got a little bored by it, unfortunately. I do a little bit with it, but not a lot. I have all the concerns about it from the ethical. Anyone else?
Yeah, that's it. That is it. I really enjoyed you all introducing yourselves. I mean, this is why we're here. As far as Black product designers, UXers, we only make up 3%. So I think that 3 is in the room today. So I just want to shout out and tell, I appreciate y'all for seeing each other and understanding where community is needed. You are the 3%. So let that be a testament to your being here today, that you are among some elite people. But I also want to share that you are doing so much work to stay ahead. Like, I don't know if anybody else's head is spinning, but after you all finish talking about how you're incorporating it, whether it be personally, professionally, or both, it's like, do you ever feel like, what the heck? How do I, what is going on? But I hope everybody is staying mentally touched, in touch with themselves as they navigate this scary time. I had a call today with one of my good friends at LinkedIn, and she's been a sponsor, partner of Black UX since the beginning. This white lady too. What's going on? What's happening? Because in 2020, when Black UX was first created, in June 2020, so welcome y'all, this is the 5 years anniversary of Black UX Labs. They were hiring folk left and right. Yes, thank you. They were hiring folk left and right. Many people were actually hired on at LinkedIn, and LinkedIn was a major sponsor of Black UX at the time. And of course, since then, we've all seen hiring freezes and layoffs and seen some of our friends come and go. At the time, Black UX acted as a conduit to help kind of be that pipeline to these senior level roles that you all sit in at different companies. So we help people land roles at Best Buy, LinkedIn, Uber, JP Morgan Chase. We were really getting our 3% in the door, honey. We're going to get y'all in the door. So what we found was in 2025, they're saying that the role of UX will continue to grow, but I'm finding that more and more of our community members are looking for work opportunities and or looking to sustain the current employment that they have. And I asked her, what's up? Cause she'll straight up tell me is this a DEI? Are y'all trying to put us in that bucket? Is that why we not, getting in the door? And of course, right? Yes. And I would love to hear everybody's feedback on that. You must create. So if I don't leave you all with anything today outside of holding hands and kumbaya, I want us to be proactive in building something for our own future when it comes to AI. And whether that is us finding ways to take away the monotony and mundane tasks to help us be more proactive, or if it's actually building a product. So if anybody in the room is an entrepreneur or a freelancer and is looking to kind of grow in that space, please connect with me after this so we can help you get investment. Okay? I want y'all to know that you all are at the head of AI transformation because of our skill sets. So if you apply those skill sets to your own passions and personal interests, it can also grow into your own professional businesses. So just wanted to start there, please go be proactive. Question for you all. How are you navigating the changes that are happening in front of you as far as politically, whether it's if your team's getting smaller or the expectations around you are getting tighter to perform in multiple roles? How are you navigating staying sane and safe in these environments?
Some of it is what you just said. You have to be proactive. And then, I know for me, it was paying attention to the signs, the things that people aren't saying. Because I know previously to being a realtor was at Microsoft. And so I was one of the ones impacted by the layoff they had, 6 weeks ago in May. I'd been on the job for maybe 8 months before then. And so I actually already accepted the role at Realtor.com and was gearing up to move. And then the layoff happened and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Now I just get 2 checks for a little bit instead of panicking. So it's one of those where I just feel like you can't really get too comfortable with what people are saying in your face, and you got to pay attention to everything that's happening around you and connecting the dots and doing what you said, Amber, making sure that you have your own stable foundation set up outside of the companies that we're working for. Because it seems like everybody's trying to replace every position with AI, whether it's going to work or not. They're trying, because then that's more money in a CEO's pocket.
I saw a funny meme. It was basically like, if the company's struggling, you can expect layoffs. If the company's doing so, you can probably expect layoffs. If the company's doing well and is profitable, you can probably expect layoffs. So that was the meme. So I guess what I'm doing is I'm, fully employed, so happy, but I'm getting my portfolio like just pristine, my resume, like all of my materials. It's been 6 years since I did any of that. So it's this long process of perfecting it. But I think the biggest thing is not letting it get stale again. And so that whenever the time comes, I can just hit the ground running and start applying. And I've been using AI for a bunch of stuff around this whole process. Like I said, the daily work log and just passing in even just a rough summary into an AI can help expand and give you a bunch of ideas and ways to approach explaining how you worked on a project. I found that the more detail you have, just the better it is. So just making sure I record everything I do. And I made some GPTs that kind of break out a work day into, I worked on the text messaging platform, I worked on our Scout platform, I worked on this. It outlines what I did, pulls out any artifacts, and I can just put that into my notes and just have it compiled in a big list for whenever I need to go back and say, like, this is what I did, this is how I did it. I don't have to try to remember it for 4 years ago or whatever.
Rod, I got a question for you. Out of that process, and congratulations on being comfortably employed right now, because that is, the sentiment varies. So congratulations. Out of that, though, out of that process that you just explained where you are utilizing certain tools, do you see a problem that you're running into often when trying to either collect the data, synthesize the data, store the data? Are you finding that there are problems to be solved within the process that you have created for yourself?
Oh, there's a lot. Just organizing it, keeping track of it, keeping it together is a problem that I've been trying to figure out for years and years and years. I don't know if there's actually a good solution. And so I've kind of finally forced myself to stop worrying about organization and the perfection of the system and just get it in there, because you can always copy and paste some text from here to there. You can always move a note from here to there. You can always reorganize it. But if you don't have it, it's going to be a super pain to try to remember. And if you didn't save those screenshots or, whatever you're legally allowed to save, or, just save it because you need it. You're not going to be sharing it publicly. These are all artifacts that will help you tell your story of whatever project you worked on or whatever leadership you've done. So I think you just got to do it and worry about the organization a bit, but don't let it stop you from just getting, everything out.
Is anybody else, like especially my researchers, or is anybody else finding problems to be solved, or problems that you're running into every day, even with the assistance of AI?
Oh, can I go one more time? I just had a new problem with that. So it's like when you're writing something and you just want to tell this perfect story, this perfect narrative, and at a certain point, you may get tired of working on it. And so that impetus to like, I'm going to tweak it one more time, you just kind of give up. Now I'm going to move on. AI allows you to just tweak it endlessly because it's so easy. Just like write a prompt. Hey, approach this from a different angle. And now you're kind of down another rabbit hole of tweaking. I found that's something that I'm going to have to kind of figure out how to stop of like, this actually is good enough. I need to just move on to something else.
Sounds like endless scrolling in a sense. Like the AI doom of endless scrolling is endless tweaking.
Pretty much.
Anybody else? And or any other topic, that you all want to bring up? I know you all sit in various roles. What are you hoping to gain today? What are you hoping to connect or ask or, with one another? Okay, do you mind to share more about Replit?
Yes. So as a company, we did like this mini hackathon session using Replit. And it was kind of like bring your own project or whatever you want to build and try using this system. And so I didn't come with like a clearly mapped out project or something I wanted to solve. I was just like, let me see what it does if I just ask it to like recreate the system we are working on, like recreate this and, tweak this. It was very generic. And I mean, within 30 minutes, it was like a working prototype with the code ready behind it, thinking about ops considerations, performance management, like all the things. I didn't even mention any of that. I was just like, wait a minute. Like, okay, so if we implement something like this in our teams, like we don't need 15 engineers, we don't need 15 UX design. It was like, oh, okay, then that just resets like where I need to spend my time and focus, but I don't know how it's going to be applied. But I was just mind blown at how quickly it turned it around and thought about things and kind of like would prompt me, like, would you like me to consider this? And I'm just like, oh, okay, I have more work to do to figure out what the future looks like and how I fit in it. Just wanted to share that was a pretty interesting experience with agentic AI.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Has anybody else tried any other tools lately that they were surprised by or even disappointed by? Nobody's tried anything. I don't believe you.
There's a tool, Magic Patterns, like a prototype wireframing tool. It does some pretty good stuff. Magic Patterns.
Can you drop it in the chat?
Yeah, I was pretty impressed by just the level of prototypes it could produce. They get you because like your prompt really matters, or you'll end up kind of continuing to tweak. And every prompt or instruction you send is a credit. So they'll get you on the credits as you keep tweaking. I found a cheat code is if you use like ChatGPT or Claude, like if you pay for something or even if it's free, construct your kind of wireframe or prototype idea in a free tool or something you already pay for, and then pull it to Magic Patterns. And that'll kind of short circuit having to do a bunch of tweaks and use a bunch of credits in Magic Patterns.
Good to know.
This is somewhat related, but one thing I've found over the last, I guess, 4 or 5 years with user research is that throughout my career, people think, oh, I can do it. And you really can't. To do it well, there's a skill set and experience and a certain personality you have to have in order to do it well. There are a lot of people who are coming out of school doing user research or coming from other fields, which is fine, but they don't necessarily want to kind of think I can read a book and then I can do it. And that kind of held true for content strategy and experience design. And I've been a mentor for years, and I've come across some younger people who think that with AI and school and textbook knowledge and school experience, that they can do what we've been doing for 20 something years. And it's kind of hard to fight that with some of the clients I've worked for, kind of hard to fight that assumption. And I'm sometimes just not sure what to say or how to approach that view. And I just wanted to know if anyone else had run into that or what thoughts you all had on that. Yes.
The pushback that you're getting or the feedback that you're getting, is it questioning like your value proposition? Is it questioning like what value you bring at, because you're a researcher, correct?
Yes. Why do I need to, we've always had the question of why do we need to go through user research anyway? What value does it bring? And so now we have people coming and we kind of establish that these are the steps, and Lisa can tell you the steps backwards and forwards and the value that it brings. What value does it bring? Why do we need to pay you so much? And why do you need a team to do it? And if the designer is doing this, then what are you going to do? And then with some of the AI tools, well, we can generate wireframes, and we can put this on this platform and get user feedback. We don't have to do one-on-ones. We don't have to really interact with people. For years, I worked for an agency. I was an expert defender, and I would get the clients in and they would say, yeah, okay, we see the value now, but it seems to be a tougher sell now with some of the clients I run into. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
If anybody wants to jump in and share, please do.
Yeah, I'm noticing that a lot too, like in two different contexts. So, like for one, I mentor through the boot camp that I was a student in, which is called Design Lab. And back when I did it in 2018, like we would go through the whole design process, including like a lot of focus on research. And like when it came to user research and like usability testing, we did that moderated. Like there were platforms, but like I'm noticing now with my students, they're just sort of like outsourcing that whole process. So like they never really get the practice with like interacting with people and like helping them navigate through different tasks and understanding their behavior. And I also just graduated from a master's program that was focused on like product design and like emerging tech, so like AI, AR, VR. There were some UX classes, but I'm noticing like a lot of the students were younger than me and they gone straight from undergrad to grad school. And there was so much fear to just try to do things themselves. They immediately wanted to go to ChatGPT, even if it was a class like ideation and prototyping, which is literally about being creative and experimenting. They didn't want to sketch. They just wanted to generate these illustrations from ChatGPT. There's a fear of failure. So they'd rather just get it right. And they feel like that's the easiest way to do that. I think the critical thinking skills just aren't there on the same level because they're using that as a crutch. It's just like unfortunate because, I mean, even when they would ask me about what it's like to be a designer, it's like, yeah, I do use ChatGPT if I'm creating a research plan, but like I also switched in a time where I had to come up with like user stories and things like that from scratch. So like I don't feel like I'm dependent on it, even though I do use it to like improve the quality of my work.
And my concern too is that as we go to hire more people and people think, okay, I'm going to be in tech and I'm going to have this long career, you can't have it with a single skill. You have to diversify and you have to use because this field is great. A lot of us came in from anthropology, sociology, and psychology and other fields. And so we are used to using our brains. And in order to survive, as long as I've had to use a lot of skills and gain a lot of skills. So it's kind of a concern for me as I mentor younger practitioners that they think that, okay, I can just be a designer or I can just be a researcher. I can use ChatGPT. You're not going to last that long because that job is going to be gone and it's going to be something else. In about 3 years, there's going to be something else and you're going to have to adapt. So I just wanted to see what you asked.
I think it's like they're getting steps skipped where when we were learning, it was, no, you got to do it the hard way before you get these tips and tricks on how to do this stuff easier. So we had to go through that whole process and learn the hard way. And then they're like, oh, well, here's a trick. Here's a tip that you can do to speed up this process or think about something differently or use this to help be a little bit more efficient. And they're just going straight from, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. Throw it in a prompt and I'm done.
So
Instead of saying, hey, first pass, don't use ChatGPT. When you're just ideating, don't use it at first. Get what's in your head out. Curate that, then put it in there to extend whatever you thought of. Like it's not meant to replace, it's meant to augment and extend what you're doing. So I feel like we just need to start drilling it in that this is not a replacement for your work. This is an assistant to your work.
And when we talk about thinking ahead, to your points, maybe something that, because I'm always thinking about how I can help the next generation or the next generation of practitioners, not necessarily in age, but in experience. Something that helps us to help them to understand that you put the two things together about how we can be helpful and how we can help ourselves. Okay, I'm done.
I'm going to jump in here real quick and just to help, because we have about a couple more minutes, but also to help level set. I have to be honest with you all. I'm a bit selfish, and I selfishly am here to understand how you all can help you. I know we are all in the game and we've been in here and we have to help the next generation. But what I'm finding being on this side of the table, as far as having a bird's eye view of the overlooked and overqualified talent, is you guys are the first to go, because they are saying sometimes you're hard to coach. You won't let go of some of the ways in which that they have, some teams have decided that they are done away with right now, or will allow AI to use, or will allow AI to be more impactful in that space or role. And they're letting go of senior talent. And so what I'm going to ask of you is that you lean in on you for a second. We will save the world a little bit later. But I'm take my little black lady cape off, and I want to lean in on what is needed and necessary for us to make sure that we can continue to be in this space or whatever space that is, so that we are the ones continuing to tell the story of these. This is why it's important. But if we do not carve out space for ourselves, we are about to get ran over by the generation who is skipping the steps with AI. It doesn't matter. It's not rational right now. It's what's happening. Does that make sense, y'all? I hate to be the one to bring the bad news. I know. I hate to be that girl, but I need y'all to just lean in a little bit and tell me what are things you are doing to help you. Is anybody in the space of rebranding right now? Because like UX is growing, but the conversation, you feel it just like DEI, the word DEI, like, you got whisper it now. I feel like we're on the Underground Railroad all over again. Like, what are you doing to ensure your place in the future?
For me, I'm in a spot with being in design systems where we're kind of the catalyst for what people are trying to do with AI. I don't necessarily feel like the role in design systems is going to go away or we're going to get replaced, because we kind of set the foundations that you plug into your AI to turn out the designs. But I do feel like we're going to have to adapt a little bit. And so I gave a talk on this a couple months ago, where I see us shifting from creating components and things like that to hardening the foundations of products, and then helping to facilitate the tools that we use to generate the design. So we may become more of prompt engineers, AI designers, and things like that, where if we do like what I'm trying to do right now and set these principles and these guardrails and guidelines in place, then wherever those human touch points are, like we're the ones who are like, oh, hey, like, is this generating things that are on brand, that are in line with the ethos of the product and what we want to do? Yes or no? If no, then like, how can we go and retrain these things? We're the ones who are training the models that are going to generate the stuff. And so it's really trying to figure out ways to level up skills in those areas. Some of the things that I'm looking into, because I don't necessarily feel like I feel like UX is kind of shaky, but I don't feel like my little niche area is that shaky.
And that's good to know. So if anybody is close to it, adjacent to design systems and considering, maybe you should, look into more. And Jarvis, if you can, if that talk was recorded, will you drop it in the chat?
Yeah, I'll see if I can. I don't know if I have the recording saved, but I can drop a link to where you can go. I'll go save a free version because I think it was a paid talk. I was doing a masterclass for it.
Come on, somebody. Period. Okay.
But yeah. So.
Naya, you dropped in the chat that you went back to school to learn some more AI, AR, VR tools. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. I feel like I needed structure and I needed guidance from someone who's already in that space. So yeah, my program, it was a lot of different disciplines, which like I want to move more into a multidisciplinary space because I feel like, again, UX maybe isn't enough anymore, at least not at the companies I've worked at. So yeah, AR for storytelling, AR for accessibility. I feel like I really got into that like assistive technology space. And I feel like it's an area that it's often overlooked, but it's becoming more and more important. Like we all use accessibility features. So I felt like that opened my mind to things that I wouldn't have got or like really like access just trying to learn these tools on my own.
Thank you for sharing that. And I want to come back to that and add more, but Valencia, I wanted to add, because thank you for Candice. Thank you for circling back on Valencia's comment about insights, research and insights. Valencia, there are some roles open with, I believe, usertesting.com for a sex research consultant. And if you feel strongly about that space of like that gap that's missing, one way you can support yourself, because we're being selfish today, is to look for roles where you can show up as that consultant in spaces that are looking for that. Because really what I heard you say, and if I was equating this to dating, is like, they like me, but they don't like me. Like, go where you're appreciated, go where you're celebrated. And if you stick to research tools like a usertesting.com, I would even look in to see like what Qualtrics has going on. and look into other new startup companies, research tool companies that could use or looking for research consultants.
Okay.
Might be a good.
If I stay in that space, that's another reason why I say I'm at a crossroads, because I've worked as a digital experience manager, and to Lisa's point, I've worked as a customer experience manager. So as the field evolved, when there was some new thing and I got tired of doing what I was doing, I kind of went to something else, which is how I have such a diverse skill set. It's kind of worked for me and kind of worked against me. I'm kind of tired of the work. I've been doing it for 22 years. So I really want to find something new and something that covers more in a leadership role, something that covers more than user research, but I'm not quite sure what that is and what that looks like. So. But I will check out user testing, because it's always good to having to not have money going out without money coming in.
Period. Yeah, totally agree.
Well, thank you. So user testing, you said, and you said there was
Usertesting.com. I don't have the link in front of me
Okay.
right now, but usertesting.
I'll find it. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. But I'll find somebody on LinkedIn. Okay.
Yes. And if you all don't mind, please drop your LinkedIns in the chat so everyone can connect with one another. Because as jobs are shared, as topics, articles, speaking engagements are shared, you all get each other's views and posts so you can support, you can find new information. So of course, be proactive in that. And then Patrice, you were saying, like, how do we find those spaces that really want it? I'm going to be honest with you. Now that I'm in the ecosystem of startups, helping companies build their own products, I think it's a matter of how do you showcase that skill set in a tangible way, in a deliverable, in a product, whether that is a website helping somebody else figure out how to utilize UX. What I'm finding is we have to be able to speak to the ROI, which is like, we all know this, it's hard. Of course, if it's a win and the insight is impactful and it changes direction and helps revenue, then we all behind it. Like, yep, that was UX. That was the UXRs, or the UXDs. But what I'm finding now is, especially if you are a specialist in the field, because roles are being flattened, they want more people with more skill sets that are kind of generalists, but that can also move very quickly. I think we have to find a way to either attach to a company's ROI or bottom line, and or build our own and showcase the skill sets of our knowledge through our own digital products. That's kind of where it's going right now. I'm not saying it'll be there forever, but it's almost like forcing folk to create their own solutions. So I first learned about it through Y Combinator. Y Combinator is an accelerator program that funds high revenue startup companies, and they have a podcast and a YouTube channel. And they were talking about vibe coding and how it's changing the access that people have to creating their own solutions using certain skill sets. And that's why I said, with us being at the forefront of UX and design, our brains automatically think through the process of a user's experience. How we apply that is almost endless. Like, if you think about it, we know how to iterate, we know how to design, we know how to conduct the research. That's dangerous, y'all, if you really think about it. For creating for yourself or for the future, you already know how to do certain steps that other people, some of your other colleagues, haven't mastered that level of processes and frameworks to build from. So I just don't want you all to like sleep on that. Oh, really? They started. Can you talk about it, Naya?
My manager and a designer on my team, they're both they've been testing out a few products, like even Figma Make. And it's interesting because what I'm hearing is that it can be a little tricky getting like started, especially if you don't really have a ton of coding knowledge. But once you sort of get it all set up, then it's like pretty easy to work with. But it's funny because my manager has been like, oh, why don't you just try, like, if there's an animation, just whip that up, some vibe coding. Like, I don't know if it's just like whipping it up. Like, I think it does take a little bit of like background knowledge, but yeah, it's kind of exciting to be able like to have the possibility of like creating prototypes on your own, things like that without an engineer.
Yeah. The downside that we have to remember too is that I've heard a lot of is the code is kind of bloated and can be messy. And so, and Amber, you muted if you were saying something. I think that's the thing that we have to keep in mind is like, hey, like this may not be production ready code. Like it still needs to be gone through. but at least we're further down the path than we were before.
And having Jarvis in the room, by the way, y'all, is so very important because if you can't hear, I'm a visionary. Like I will get so excited off of an idea. I will have an idea, like I'll whip that bad boy out in a heartbeat. And Jarvis was always like my guy to be like, but we must reel me in and we got to create these, we got to build a fence, Amber. And I'm like, okay, how long is that going to take? And how much is that going to cost? You know, these are things that I'm glad we get to hear each other, but also help each other build structure around this. So thanks for that, Jarvis.
Part of me feels like AI really is just a tool, especially the speed at which people are picking it up. It's like, it seems really impressive to be able to create an app really quick. And it's like, oh, they have a competitive advantage, but they don't, because everybody and anybody can use the AI tool to create an app in the same amount of time.
And it's one of those where if you get stuck and you don't understand how to like debug code, what are you going to do? You still need the skills to go along with it.
Yeah, you got to solve the right problem. But even now, you need to be able to market the right problem. In previous world, I had 1,000 invoicing apps that I could choose from. Now I have 100,000 invoicing apps I can choose from.
And the possibility to make your own that's specific to your needs that you have that may be slightly different than what's on the market.
Yeah, it's like the environment is changing a lot. But I feel like our jobs are always going to be needed, because just because you can make something, it means less now that you can make it. It actually has to be good. It has to work. It has to integrate into people's
Work at scale too. Like,
yeah,
it'll work for one person, 2 people. It's got to work for 20 million, 100 million.
Yes, I think the same problems we solve today will exist. It's just a more crowded environment.
I think it's in the short term giving people some false confidence too.
Yeah, probably.
What do they do if it is giving false confidence? If it is, you know, if it's just another tool, which it is, we know that it's just another tool. But I'm saying, what do we do how do we save ourselves from just another tool? Because even though it is just another tool, y'all, the wealth gap is so real for people of color because of the impact that tech and AI will have on the world. It's like, I want us to also be clear, like, as much as we're critiquing it, that bad coming through like a tide, like a heavy tide.
We got to do what we've always done. We have to understand how it works and be able to speak to that portion. Because I feel like people are using the tools, but they don't understand what goes into creating them and how you're getting these outputs and how you're getting the cup. Like, we have to understand that piece. All been able to carve out our spaces, and the industry is, we can't just do the work. We've never been able to just do the thing and get by. We've had to understand it backwards and forwards and with our eyes closed and be able to speak to it better than everybody else in the room. So we just have to do that same thing in this era.
Thanks for
Yeah.
that.
I think for me, it's like, even as an IC, leaning more to like leadership and business value, I think is where you have the best chance of survival. Just because like design is the cheapest way to fail, is what my VP said. Ultimately, you can create an app, but you still have to get it out on market. You have to pay for advertising. You have to pay for user testing. Nobody has unlimited funds. So just because you can code something doesn't mean it matches what the market needs. And that's where design and research come in. And so the earlier you can match that up, all of your testing and marketing dollars just go further. And if you can validate that via design early on, you're good. So I think that's the story you have to tell. And I think a lot of companies are going to get caught on the hype train, and they're going to try to go down this path. And many of them are going to fail. So I think we just have to try to ride the wave as best as possible. Because I think on the other side, there will be jobs, and you have to embrace AI to be positioned for those jobs.
There's a lot of uncertainty in a lot of companies about what tools to use, how to use them, when to use them, what they should be using. So I feel like it's important for us when those conversations happen to have an opinion. You gotta be one of those voices in the room that people turn to when they're asking me questions. Not to say that we have to have all of the answers, but I know for me, it's like, I've thought about it. I've looked into it. I can go and, give me a couple hours. I can go and dig up something and get a report together or some type of proposal together that goes deeper than what we're talking about. But we need to have opinions in these rooms, get very many opportunities to be in them.
Agreed. Well, we only have about 3 minutes left, so I wanted to make sure everybody dropped their LinkedIn in the chat so we can all connect. This is being recorded, so I can share the link with you if you'd like to go back and revisit. I think everybody spoke to some very great and important aspects of the conversation around AI and just navigating our career journeys and our way forward. Please put this in your back pocket. Use this conversation to help propel, like Jarvis said, in other rooms and in new rooms. For those of you all who are still with the large Fortune companies or large startups, go forth and continue to kick in doors because you will need it. Take your Black woman cape off sometimes, though, and save yourself for
Heard.
Thank you.
I struggle with that, though. I really do. But you're right.
That's okay.
I need to thank you.
But all of us just continue to advocate for yourself and for your needs so that you can continue to secure space. We also have a Slack channel that lives and breathes, and I'd love for you all to connect there too. Just if and when opportunities arise, let's take full advantage of that because, as we stated earlier, we are the 3% in this room. So we need to create a safe space for us to connect when we're not in front of one another. Is that cool? So I'm going to put it in the chat for you guys. And then I do have this Notion doc that went out in our newsletter. I'll put that in here too. It's called Talk Your Shit, but it's a freebie here for you all. Feel free. So one area of focus that we do have at Black UX Labs is helping people be more visible, and that's through their LinkedIn profiles. So I don't know when's the last time you all took a look at your LinkedIn profile and looked at how you're showing up, what story you're telling, what narrative you're saying that you're solving. Because if you are finding pushback, it could be that where people start to look for information about you isn't as clear as you may think it is. So these are some tips and tricks to keep in mind for when you are advocating and marketing yourself that you should consider, along with some jobs that are hot off the press from some of our partners. And we have our own Black UX helper GPT. So if Slack isn't available, if you can't reach anybody on Slack and you need help, we have our own Black UX GPT that you can use to help answer any questions around navigating your personal brand, which would be your LinkedIn, and or navigating your career journey. So feel free to play around with that. Okay. So we'll be back here next month. What I'm going to ask of you all, one favor, because we had a intimate group today, is if you all wouldn't mind sharing your experience today on LinkedIn about the monthly meetup, the Black UX Labs monthly meetup, and invite a friend so that next month we can have more people pouring into this conversation. And, feel free to just share the word, but that's how you can give back, is sharing out what's going on here and how we are uplifting one another. Cool. All right, Patrice and Valencia, thank you so much for being newbies. Lisa, it was good to finally actually see you in person. I've seen your name, so I'm so glad to actually meet you in person. Naya, it was a pleasure.
Well.
Candice, always good to see you, girl. Keep thriving and shining. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you.